Hello, and welcome back to Today English Podcast. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want you to imagine a quiet morning. The kind of morning when you wake up and suddenly feel that something is not right, but you do not know why, and the air around you feels a little heavier than usual, a little slower, and as you sit on the edge of your bed, you feel this small question rising inside your heart. Where did all my time go? And it is strange because you are awake, but already tired, already stressed, already rushing, and you have not even taken your first step out of the room, and maybe you know this feeling very well. The feeling that your day is already full before it even begins. The feeling that you are always behind, always catching up, always trying but never arriving. And this is where our story begins today on Today English Podcast, in this simple moment of awareness, this little spark of honesty where you notice that time, which used to feel so big, now feels so small, and every day feels like a race you did not sign up for. And as I speak slowly to you now, I want you to breathe and let the story move gently around you, because this is not only a story about time management, this is also a story about learning English, growing confidence, feeling more in control, and building a life where you choose how to spend your days instead of letting your days control you. And I want you to know that you are not alone in this feeling, because every busy person, every tired person, every dreamer who wants to improve their life has asked this same question at least once. Why don't I have enough time? And as we follow this story together, we will walk step by step toward that answer. So imagine the main character of our story, a friendly and curious person very much like you, someone who wants to learn English, build good habits, take care of work, take care of family, and still have a little space for rest. And this person wakes up one morning with that same heavy question, knowing that something needs to change, yet not knowing how to begin. And as they stand up and walk to the window, they see the world moving outside so fast, people rushing, cars passing, the whole city in motion. And they whisper softly to themselves, if I do not learn to manage my time, life will just keep running without me. Now, the strange thing about time is that everyone has the same amount of it, but not everyone feels the same about it. Some people feel they have plenty, some feel they have none, some feel calm, some feel overwhelmed, but the truth is, the problem is not time itself. The problem is how we use it, how we plan it, how we waste it, and how we protect it. And in this story, I want you to see time not as an enemy, but as something gentle, something that can work with you, something that can help you if you understand it. And I want you to see English practice not as another heavy task, but as something small and soft, something you can weave into your day like a thread of calm, something you can carry with you instead of something you must fight for. Our main character, as they drink a slow cup of morning tea, begins thinking about yesterday, and the day before yesterday, and last week, and the week before, and they see a pattern. They see how many hours were lost scrolling, how many tasks were left unfinished, how many moments were filled with stress and rushing even though the tasks themselves were not impossible, and this thought makes them feel a little sad, a little frustrated, but also ready for change, because sometimes change begins with a soft realization, a quiet moment of honesty where you say, I can do better, and I want to do better, and that moment is powerful, more powerful than motivation videos, more powerful than New Year's plans, because it comes from inside you. So as the morning sunlight enters the room, our character decides to take the first step, a small and simple step. Today they will try to observe their time, not control it yet, just observe it. Like watching a river to understand how it flows before you try to swim in it, and as they get ready for the day, they begin to notice something surprising. Time is not disappearing. Time is being used, sometimes wisely, sometimes poorly, but always used. And they begin to ask themselves gentle questions. Why am I doing this now? What is important today? What can wait? What truly needs my energy? And you might think these questions are small, but they're not, because this is the beginning of understanding, the beginning of taking back control. As the day continues, our character goes to work, answers emails, deals with tasks, listens to people talking fast, maybe too fast, and inside their mind they think, I want to practice English today. But when, and suddenly they realize something new. English does not need a big, perfect block of time. English can fit into the spaces of the day like water filling the shape of a cup, and this idea feels refreshing, feels possible, and for the first time, they do not feel guilty for being busy. They feel curious instead. But of course, the day is not easy. There are interruptions, unexpected tasks, problems that take longer than planned, messages that distract the mind, and our character begins to feel the familiar pressure again, the feeling of running out of time, the feeling of losing control, and by the afternoon they are tired, frustrated, and a little disappointed, thinking that maybe today was not the right day to start changing their habits. Maybe tomorrow will be easier, maybe next week, maybe next month. But then something interesting happens, something small but powerful. They remember a sentence they once heard. You do not need more time, you need more focus, and this sentence repeats in their mind like a soft echo, and suddenly they understand that the real challenge is not the number of minutes in the day. The real challenge is attention, and attention is something they can guide, little by little. So they decide to do something new, something bold in its simplicity. They stop for 1 minute, just 1 minute. They close their eyes, breathe slowly, let the noise of the day fall away, and remind themselves of the one thing they truly want today. To manage their time with calm, and to practice English even for a small moment. And you may be surprised how 1 calm minute can change the direction of a day, but it can, because in that small pause, our character rediscovers clarity. When evening comes, they sit down on a quiet bench outside their office building, watching the sky slowly turn orange, and they begin to reflect on the day, not with judgment but with curiosity, and they think about the moments they used their time well, and the moments they wasted, and for the first time in a long while, they understand something important. Time is not the enemy. Time is a mirror. It shows you your choices. It shows you your habits. And when you look at it honestly, you can begin to shape it. That evening, with the sky turning darker, something inside them transforms. A small shift, but a strong one, and they think, maybe I can change. Maybe I can create a day that feels calmer, clearer, and more meaningful. And this thought lights a small fire inside their heart. A fire of hope. Before going home, they take out their phone and listen to a short English audio, something simple, something slow, just a few minutes, but in that moment, it feels beautiful because it feels like a promise that even in a busy life, they can still grow, still learn, still improve. And as they walk home, they feel different, they feel lighter, not because their problems have disappeared, but because they finally believe they can choose how to live their time. When they reach home, they sit on their bed once again, the same place where the day began, and they reflect on the small but powerful journey of this day, and they feel thankful for the moment of awareness that woke them up, thankful for the calm minute that helped them reset, thankful for the idea that English can fit gently into their day instead of fighting for space, and as they lay down, they whisper to themselves with a soft smile, today was the first step, and tomorrow I will take another. And so the first chapter of our story closes not with perfection, not with a perfect schedule or a perfect plan, but with something more important, hope, awareness, and a gentle belief that time can become a friend, that English can become a habit, and that even busy people can build a life they feel proud of, one choice at a time. This is where the real journey begins, and in the next section, we will follow our character as they take the next step, learning how to prioritize tasks with clarity and kindness, and how to create a routine that feels natural, calm, and powerful. But for now, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let this simple truth rest in your heart. You have more control than you think, and your time is waiting for you to shape it. The next morning begins not with rush, but with a gentle thought, a soft echo of yesterday's realization, and as our character slowly wakes up, they feel something different inside their mind, a quiet determination. A small but very real decision that today they will try to understand what truly matters, because time management does not begin with calendars or apps or alarms. It begins with choices, and choices begin with clarity. And as they sit up in bed and stretch their arms toward the slow blue morning light, they whisper to themselves, "Today I will learn how to choose," and this simple sentence becomes like a guiding light for the rest of the day. When they walk into the kitchen and prepare breakfast, they look at the clock not with fear but with curiosity, and they begin to notice something interesting. Not all tasks are equal. Some are important, some are urgent, some are habits. Some are distractions dressed like responsibilities, and suddenly they realize how much stress comes not from doing too little, but from doing too much of the wrong things, and for a moment they laugh softly at their own life, remembering how many times they spent an hour on something small while ignoring something big, and in that quiet kitchen, over a warm slice of toast, they make the first true commitment of the day. I will choose the tasks that matter, not the tasks that scream the loudest. This is harder than it sounds, because the world around them is full of noise, full of notifications, full of people asking for attention, full of responsibilities that grow like branches in every direction. And our character feels this pressure as they step outside and begin walking toward their day, but something inside them has changed, something calm, something focused, and as they walk, they begin telling themselves a story about a garden. They imagine that their life is a garden full of plants, each plant a task, a responsibility, a dream, and they suddenly understand that a garden grows not by watering everything, but by watering the right things. And this image stays with them as they begin their work day. When they open their laptop at the office, they no longer jump into the first email or the first message. Instead, they pause, breathe, and look at everything with fresh eyes. They ask themselves 3 simple questions. What is important today? What is not important today? What can wait without hurting anything? And as they answer these questions slowly, they begin to feel something new control, and this control is quiet, gentle, not heavy or demanding, and for a moment they feel proud of this new beginning. But the world does not stop just because they want clarity. New tasks come, new requests arrive, people call their name, someone asks for help, someone brings a small again like a wave, and they think, I knew it, I knew today would become messy. But then, in a surprising moment of strength, they remember the garden in their mind, and they whisper softly to themselves, not everything needs water right now. And this one quiet sentence helps them breathe again. During lunch, they sit alone at a small table, not in sadness, but in reflection, and they think about how much time they used to waste saying yes to everything, yes to requests that were not important, yes to tasks that did not move them forward, yes to responsibilities that were not theirs to carry, and in that reflection they feel a mixture of regret and relief. Regret for the past, but relief for the future, because understanding your mistakes is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of growth. As they eat their food slowly, they also think about English practice, something they've wanted to improve for a long time, but always pushed aside because it never felt urgent, and now they suddenly understand why it never happened. not because they lacked motivation, but because they never gave it importance. This realization hits them softly but deeply. If something matters, it must be chosen, not squeezed in, not forced at the end of a long and tired day, but chosen like a priority, chosen like a plant in the garden that you want to grow. So they decide right there, during lunch, that English will become one of their chosen tasks, not a big heavy task, not an overwhelming obligation, but a small daily seed of progress, something simple and gentle. Like listening to a short audio or repeating a few sentences or reading a small paragraph, something they can fit even into the busiest day without stress. And as they finish lunch, they feel a warm wave of confidence moving through them, because for the first time, learning English feels possible. In the afternoon, a difficult moment arrives, the kind of moment that usually destroys the day, an emergency task, unexpected and urgent, something that forces them to stop everything else. Their heart beats faster, their hands move quickly, and their mind fills with pressure. But this time, something magical happens. They do not panic. Instead, they tell themselves calmly, "This is urgent, so it is okay to pause the important," and with this new understanding, they handle the urgent task with clarity instead of chaos. When it is finally solved, they take a deep breath, lean back in their chair, and feel a strange sense of maturity, as if they have just passed a level in a game they have been stuck in for years. And in that moment of calm, they decide to reward themselves with something small but meaningful, a 2-minute English practice break. They listen to a simple dialogue, repeat a few words softly, and enjoy the sweetness of learning something new, and though the moment is small, it feels powerful because it is a reminder that even on a stressful day, even in the middle of chaos, they can still choose who they want to be. When the workday ends, they step outside, and the sky looks deep and peaceful above them, and they think about everything that happened today, the clarity, the challenges, the moments of doubt, the moments of strength, and they realize something beautiful. Time management is not about controlling every minute. It is about directing your energy toward what matters most. They walk slowly toward the bus stop, feeling the cool air on their face, and they think about the 3 questions they asked themselves in the morning and how those questions guided their entire day. And then a new thought rises inside them, a thought filled with quiet wisdom. Life becomes easier when you become the editor of your day instead of the actor in everyone else's story. This thought stays with them like a warm blanket as they travel home. When they finally reach their house, they sit on the couch, close their eyes, and let the events of the day replay gently in their mind. They see the moments where they chose well, and the moments where they drifted, and they accept both with kindness, because growth is not perfect, and change is not sudden, but step by step, day by day, choice by choice. And in this reflection, something deep inside them transforms again. They no longer feel like a person drowning in tasks. They feel like a person learning to swim. Before going to bed, they practice English one more time. Just a short practice, maybe 5 minutes, maybe even less, but it feels important. It feels like a promise kept, and when they finally lie down, they whisper softly, "Today I chose what mattered." And with that peaceful thought, they fall asleep knowing that tomorrow they will continue watering the right plants in their garden, and life will slowly, gently, surely begin to change. The next day begins in a much different way, with our character opening their eyes to a soft morning light and feeling not rushed, not overwhelmed, but thoughtful, because something new is waiting for them today. Something they have avoided for years without even understanding why, and that something is procrastination, the quiet thief of time, the silent fog that hides important tasks until it is too late, and as they sit up in bed, they know that today they will face this part of themselves. Not with anger, not with shame, but with curiosity, because they finally understand that procrastination is not laziness, and not weakness, but a simple fear wearing different clothes, a fear of failure, a fear of imperfection, a fear of discomfort. And as they breathe slowly in the morning quiet, they whisper a brave little sentence. Today I will meet my fear, not run from it, and with this promise they step into the day. As they prepare breakfast, their mind wanders through memories of times they avoided tasks, big or small, and how those delays always created more stress later, and they laugh softly because they remember nights when they stayed awake too late, trying to finish something they could have done earlier, or mornings when they rushed with a pounding heart because the deadline was too close, and in that quiet kitchen, they feel a gentle sadness mixed with relief. Sadness for the time wasted, relief for the understanding gained. When they reach their workplace, the first task on their list is something they have postponed for weeks, something important but uncomfortable, something that requires full focus, and the moment they see it, the old familiar feeling rises inside them, that small whisper saying, "Not now, maybe later." And their mind suddenly becomes creative in the wrong way, finding excuses, creating distractions, reaching for comfort. But today they see the pattern clearly. They see how procrastination tries to protect them from discomfort, but ends up hurting them more. And they remember a new truth. Discomfort is temporary, but progress lasts, and with this thought they sit down, take a slow breath, and begin. At first it is difficult. Their mind jumps around, their fingers hesitate, the task feels heavy, slow, almost painful, and for a moment they want to run back to the comfort of small, easy tasks. But then something surprising happens. The discomfort begins to soften, the task begins to flow, their focus becomes stronger, and suddenly they are not afraid anymore. They are simply working, step by step, word by word, and for the first time in a long while, they feel proud of themselves, not for finishing, but for beginning. After an hour of deep work, they take a break, step outside, and feel the fresh air on their face, and they smile because they realize something powerful. Most of the suffering they experienced over the years came not from doing tasks, but from avoiding them. And this realization changes something inside them forever. As they walk back inside, they think about English practice, and they see how procrastination has also touched that part of their life. How many times they said, "I will start tomorrow. I am too tired today. I need a perfect time." And in that moment they laugh quietly at themselves, because now they understand that perfection was never the problem, waiting for perfection was. So they decide to do something bold yet simple. A 5-minute English practice right in the middle of the day, not at a perfect time, not in a perfect setting, just here, just now, and they repeat a few clear sentences, listen to a short, slow audio. And as they practice, they feel a kind of freedom, a freedom that comes from letting go of the idea that learning requires perfect conditions. In the afternoon, another challenge appears. A personal task at home they have been avoiding for months, something small but emotionally heavy, and the moment it appears in their thoughts, procrastination begins whispering again, offering comfort, distraction, escape. But today they are different, today they are stronger, today they no longer believe the whispers, and instead of avoiding the task, they close their eyes, breathe deeply, and say, "One small step," and that sentence becomes their secret weapon. Not finish everything, not be perfect, but one small step, and that small step leads to another, and soon they are doing the very thing they once feared. At the end of the workday, they feel tired but satisfied, not the tiredness of stress, but the tiredness of effort that means something, and as they walk home, the city feels different, or maybe they feel different, because now they see the world not as a place of pressure, but as a place of possibility. They begin thinking about how procrastination has shaped their life for years without them even noticing, how many opportunities slipped away, How many dreams stayed small, not because they were impossible, but because fear held the steering wheel. And in that gentle evening light, they decide that from now on, progress will matter more than perfection. When they finally reach home, they sit on the edge of their bed, the same place where their reflections always begin, and they think carefully about the day, and something inside them warms as they realize how brave they were today, how honest, how patient with themselves, how determined, and this reflection becomes a kind of gentle self-respect, a respect they have not felt in a long while. After dinner, they take out a small notebook and write 3 things: one task they finished, one fear they faced, and one moment they practiced English. And as they write these simple lines, a deep sense of pride fills their chest, because for the first time in a long time, they feel like the author of their own life, not the passenger. Before going to bed, they practice English again, not because they must, but because it feels good. It feels like a gift they give themselves, and as they repeat simple sentences slowly, they notice their voice sounds clearer, their mind feels calmer. And learning English suddenly feels like a companion, not a challenge. When they lie down and close their eyes, they whisper softly, "Today I broke the chain," and with that powerful truth in their heart, they fall into a peaceful sleep, ready for the next day, ready for the next step, ready for the next piece of this journey toward a life with more time, more focus, more purpose, and more English woven gently into every corner of the day. The next morning arrives quietly, with a soft light entering through the curtains, and our character wakes up feeling a little stronger, a little more confident than the day before, because yesterday they faced procrastination and learned the power of beginning. And today they are ready for something new, something that can turn scattered efforts into a clear, flowing rhythm, and that something is a routine, a daily rhythm that does not feel rigid or harsh, but natural, friendly, and powerful. Like a river flowing steadily toward its destination, and as they sit on the edge of the bed, stretching slowly, they whisper softly, "Today I will build a day that serves me," and that small sentence becomes the seed for the rest of the day. As they make their morning tea, they think carefully about their tasks, about the hours in the day, about moments that are spent wisely and moments that slip away without notice, and they realize that the secret of a good routine is not filling every minute with work, but organizing time so that energy and focus meet opportunity, so that important tasks have space, so that small joys like English practice are not squeezed in but naturally included, and this thought fills them with gentle curiosity. They decide to start with mornings, the time when the mind is quiet and fresh, and they imagine a slow, peaceful ritual, waking up, stretching, drinking tea, and spending a small but focused time on the most important task of the day, whether it is work, a personal project, or English practice, and this first choice feels magical because it sets the tone for everything else. After a calm breakfast, they take out a notebook and write the plan for the day, not with heavy rules, but with simple headings: morning, afternoon, evening, small pockets for English, small moments for rest, and larger spaces for work. And as they do this, they feel a quiet sense of control, a gentle pleasure in shaping their own time instead of letting it shape them. When they begin their first task, they notice something fascinating. Because they planned carefully, the task feels easier, lighter, even enjoyable, and their mind does not wander as much, and every step they take toward completion brings satisfaction. Because they are no longer moving randomly through the day, they are flowing with a rhythm, and that rhythm begins to build confidence. Around mid-morning, they take a short pause, a moment for reflection, and they think about English practice, and they realize how much easier it is to practice when it is part of the plan, when it has its own space, when it is not competing with other tasks for attention, and they sit down to repeat a short dialogue, to read a paragraph, to listen to a slow audio, and for these 5 or 10 minutes, they feel calm, focused, and happy. Because English practice no longer feels like a heavy obligation, it feels like a quiet companion walking beside them through the day. Lunch arrives, and they use this time not just to eat, but to pause, to reflect on the morning, and to notice how the day has flowed so far, and they realize that the small choices they made in the morning ripple through the entire day, that starting with clarity, with intention, with focus, makes every moment afterward lighter, and that small pattern becomes the secret they will carry forward. In the afternoon, tasks begin to arrive, emails, phone calls, unexpected problems, but the routine acts like a soft shield. It does not block the challenges, but it guides them, helps them respond calmly, choose wisely, and avoid chaos. And with each task handled with gentle attention, they feel pride, not the pride of finishing everything perfectly, but the pride of moving through the day intentionally, step by step. Mid-afternoon, they pause again for a short English practice, this time only 3 minutes, repeating a sentence or two, noticing pronunciation, listening carefully, and they feel satisfaction. Because these small seeds of practice are growing quietly in the soil of routine, and they understand a new truth: consistency, even small, is more powerful than occasional intensity, and this truth fills them with hope. As evening comes, they review the day, not with judgment, but with curiosity and gratitude, noticing moments of flow, moments of challenge, moments when the routine worked and moments when it wavered, and they write simple notes in their notebook. Small reminders, small ideas for tomorrow, and this reflection strengthens the habit because reflection turns action into learning. Dinner is calm, not rushed, and after that, they spend a little more time with English practice, longer than the short pauses of the day, perhaps 10 minutes, focusing on listening, speaking, or reading slowly, and in these quiet moments, they feel something deeper than learning. They feel mastery, the mastery of guiding themselves, of shaping their day, of creating a rhythm that works with life, not against it. Before going to bed, they take one more pause, lying on the bed, closing their eyes, and they reflect gently on the transformation of the day, mornings of focus, afternoons of calm productivity, small pockets for English, small moments of rest. And through this, a feeling of life in order, not perfection, not rigidity, but gentle flow, and this fills them with satisfaction. They whisper softly to themselves, "Today I created a rhythm," and with that thought, they fall asleep peacefully, carrying with them not only the satisfaction of work done, but the understanding that time, attention, and intention together can turn any busy life into something manageable, enjoyable, and meaningful, and that English, like other tasks, can be nurtured slowly, gently, and consistently, like a small flower in a well-tended garden. And as the soft night embraces them, they feel hope, confidence, and quiet excitement for tomorrow, because now they know that a carefully built routine can be a home for growth, learning, and calm, even in the busiest life, and that this routine is not only about managing time, but about managing energy, focus, and attention. And with that, our character drifts into sleep, ready to carry this new rhythm forward, step by step, day by day, toward mastery of both life and English. The morning comes softly, with a gentle light that seems to whisper, "Today is yours," and our character opens their eyes feeling calm, not rushed, carrying with them the lessons of the past days, the awareness of time, the courage to begin, the clarity of priorities, the strength to overcome procrastination, and the gentle rhythm of a routine that now feels natural, almost like breathing. And as they stretch their arms and take a slow, deep breath, they realize something powerful. Time is not something to fear, it is something to guide, something to use with intention, and each moment is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to experience, to live fully, and today they will take all these lessons and integrate them together into one flowing day. Breakfast is calm, prepared slowly, savored and enjoyed, and as they eat, they reflect on the small victories of the past days, the moments when they chose what mattered, the moments when they began even when afraid, the moments when they created a gentle routine, the moments when English practice became a soft thread in the fabric of their life, and with gratitude, they smile, because they now see the value of small, consistent steps, the power of intention, and the beauty of slow, patient growth. The morning begins with focus. They choose the most important task, the one that aligns with their long-term goals, and they work on it with attention, breaking it into small steps, breathing slowly between each, noticing progress rather than perfection. And the difference is immediate. The task feels lighter, achievable, almost joyful, because their mind is clear, their energy is guided, and they are fully present in the moment. Mid-morning brings a pause, a short break, and they spend 5 minutes practicing English, listening carefully to a slow audio, repeating sentences softly, noticing pronunciation, and enjoying the rhythm of language flowing through their mind and lips. And it feels like a small reward, a simple joy, a moment that nurtures both skill and confidence. When unexpected tasks arrive, as they always do, they no longer feel panic. Instead, they breathe, assess, and choose wisely, handling urgent matters efficiently, deferring low-priority tasks without guilt, and moving gracefully through the demands of life. And with each choice, they reinforce the habit of intentional living, the habit of using time wisely, and the habit of protecting space for what truly matters. Lunch is calm, eaten with mindfulness, and they take a moment to reflect on the morning, noticing what worked well, what could improve, and what small adjustments can make the afternoon flow more smoothly. And this reflection feels natural, not forced. Because reflection is now part of the rhythm, a gentle tool to guide their journey rather than a source of stress. In the afternoon, work continues with a gentle balance, important tasks, small creative projects, and short pockets of English practice woven seamlessly into the day, and they notice a wonderful truth emerging. Life does not feel heavy when each part has its place, when each task has intention, when small joys are integrated rather than postponed, and each English sentence practiced feels like a tiny victory, a small achievement that adds up day by day, building skill, confidence, and satisfaction. Evening comes, and as the day winds down, they spend a longer, focused session on English, reading a paragraph slowly, speaking aloud, listening and repeating, and the satisfaction is deep because this practice is now part of a living rhythm, not a separate, stressful task, and they feel their mind and heart growing together, skills and confidence strengthening side by side. Dinner is calm. Family or friends may be present, conversation flows naturally, and they notice how much easier life feels when their day is guided by clarity, intention, and gentle routines, and they smile softly, because this is not perfection, this is growth. And every day adds another small step forward. After dinner, they take one last pause before sleep, lying on the bed, closing their eyes, and reflecting on the journey so far. The first moment of awareness, the recognition of time slipping away, the courage to prioritize, the victories over procrastination, the creation of a gentle daily rhythm, the small moments of English practice, and the growing confidence that comes from consistent, intentional action, and they realize something profound. Mastery is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about understanding, guiding, and choosing your actions consciously, and life and learning both respond beautifully to this approach. As they breathe slowly in the quiet night, They whisper softly to themselves, "I am the author of my time, the gardener of my life, the student of my English," and with this gentle affirmation, they feel peaceful, confident, and ready to continue. Because now they know that no matter how busy life becomes, they can manage their time, nurture their growth, practice their skills, and live intentionally, and even small choices, repeated consistently, build a life of calm, clarity, and progress. Finally, as they drift into sleep, a warm sense of satisfaction and hope fills their heart, because today they lived in flow, integrated work, life, and learning, and tomorrow they will continue, step by step, moment by moment. Knowing that time is their friend, focus is their tool, habits are their allies, and English, like life itself, grows best when nurtured with patience, consistency, and gentle intention, and this understanding closes the chapter of today, leaving them ready for the journey ahead, full of curiosity, energy, and the quiet power of mastery. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at Today English Podcast. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.